I'm Jeff Krasno, and I'm the co-founder of Wanderlust. Started with my best friend Sean and my wife Skylar. Well, I have a story about the birth of my second daughter, Lolly. So my wife Skylar, she is old school and or new school. She likes to have her children born at home. Our first daughter Phoebe was born at home, and so she had planned to also have Lolly at home in Brooklyn. Just a piece of advice for any fathers to be, and also all fathers know this already. Your best role is in support, and no matter what, you defer to your wife's decision. So I was vying for the best supporting role nomination. So we found a midwife based in New York City, and we visited her. She was based on the Lower East Side. So we came into her apartment for the first time. We resonated with her well, and we're like, okay, let's do this. And we put our plan together. And, we were consistently visiting her over a period of time. So she, during that time period, was featured in a movie about home birth. And that movie came out and actually started to get quite a bit of press. And I think it debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival. And, all of a sudden our midwife was like a star. And it was, a little bit difficult to get a hold of her sometimes, and but it was cool. We were into her and supported her because the movie supported the idea of home birth. We already had one baby, so I kind of knew the ins and outs of, when my wife started to go into labor and timing the contractions and all this, and got to that place where I thought it was appropriate to call the midwife, and so we did, or I did, and I said, listen, I think my wife is at that point, and this was very, very early on a Saturday morning. So she said, okay, well, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, she's starting to dilate and the contractions are a couple minutes apart and all this stuff. So she's like, okay, I'll be right over. So we had a kind of a blow up pool in the basement of our place that my job was sort of to go up and down the stairs and fill it with hot water and have the strainer handy and all this kind of stuff. Skylar was in the pool, and she was going into deeper labor, and I got a phone call, and I looked down, and there was the midwife who was calling, and I answered, and she said, Jeff, are you sitting down? And that's never exactly what you want to ever hear anyone say. I said, no, but it doesn't matter. And she said, well, listen, I have another client, another mother-to-be who is a month premature, and she's in labor. And Skylar is so healthy that I just feel that I need to go to her, so I can't come. And as empathetic as you try to be for everybody else in the world, there are a few moments in life where you may lack more that level of empathy. So I was kind of like, well, screw that, you got to come here. As my wife's about to have a baby, she's like, really, I've called the backup, and here's her number. And I was shaking and writing it down, and she's great, and she'll take good care of you. So I hung up the phone, and then I asked myself, well, should I tell Skylar or not? I was like, I think I have to tell her. And so I walked down the stairs and I'm like, babe, she's not really going to be able to make it, the midwife, and but it's going to be okay. And Skylar is just in labor, so she's like, I don't give a shit, So I'm like, okay, well, that's a positive attitude. I call the backup, lovely woman, Miriam. She's like, oh, hi, Jeff. Yes, I heard about your situation, and I'm on 87 North near Woodstock. Where do you guys live? So I'm like, well, we're in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. You kind of got to get off and start going south quite a long ways and then weave yourself through. And, she got the directions. It's going to be a while before she gets here, probably a couple hours. So at this point, it's Skylar, myself, Skylar's mom, old hippie, great freaky lady from Northern California, and a very capable doula. Skylar is apprised of the situation, and her labor is continuing to progress, and she's in the pool, and we're in there with her, and we're massaging her and all, and an hour progresses, and she's continuing to dilate, and I reach down and I actually feel my daughter crowning. I can feel her forehead coming out. I'm going to have to ready myself to, deliver this child, because it's coming. I'm not going to like shove it back in. Her head started to come out, and then about 5 to 10 minutes before eventually she was born, Miriam arrived. Very, very calmly, she came down, she spread her instruments down, and she just sat in the corner. Nobody said a word, nobody even said hello. And then she slowly walked over to us in the pool, in the tub, and she reached down and she just pulled the baby out. And I was behind Skylar, sort of holding her under her armpits, kind of like this. And Miriam put the baby on my wife's chest, and it just started immediately to latch on to Skylar's breast. And she before she said anything to me or to anyone, her first words, she looked up at me and she said, "Let's have another." And we did.